Looking for magic cards? At flipsidegaming.com you can now use the promo code LVD to get a 10% discount on orders over $10 while supporting the channel at the same time. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, Lich would be funny, but I think it's pretty bad. There's just not that many artifacts, and then even if you do, they're mostly like blue with all the Thopter tokens, and then triple black is pretty tough. I'll have to pass on a Lich. Skyrider Patrol, Rise from the Grave, Mirror Image, Luminous Bonds, Pegasus Courser, Divination, Essence Scatter, a lot of good cards here. Which one do we prefer? Rise from the Grave can have more upside than just taking, for example, Luminous Bonds. Luminous Bonds is pretty efficient removal, doesn't ask much of you. Patrol is committing to 2 colors right away, which seems worse than just taking a Luminous Bonds or a Courser, which are close in power level and don't commit us to a second color. And I think I prefer Courser and Bonds and Rise from the Grave over Mirror Image. So that leaves Rise from the Grave, Bonds, and Courser. Divination we don't have to pick too highly since we usually get those pretty late. The bots don't seem to take Divination very highly. Essence Scatter's fine, but I think I prefer Courser and Luminous Bonds over it. I think that leaves us just taking the Luminous Bonds at the end of the day. Kind of a boring pick, but eh. And probably just take another one. Had we taken Pegasus Courser, I mean, probably don't take Courser over Luminous Bonds, but we would take Luminous Bonds now. Had we taken Rise from the Grave, we would look at Luminous Bonds and Shock. Maybe Brawl Bash Ogre, although I doubt it. Had we taken Phylactery Lich, we would be crying in a corner. I guess had we taken Skyrider Patrol, we would look at the bottom row here. So let's just take another Luminous Bonds. Alright, now what? No great white card. There's a Gargoyle Sentinel, which is okay. Fountain of Renewal can always be filler. Could take a Havoc Devils if we want to pivot into like a red-white aggro deck. Could take Rejuvenator if we were feeling like we want to ramp. All the uncommons are still here. Don't hate the Fountain of Renewal. Could also end up in like a black-white life gain deck where the life gain synergies matter. And at the very least we can cycle it, so it's a pretty low opportunity cost. And do we have a better idea where we want to go with this one? The only white card is Revitalize. We've got a Marauder's Axe, which is fine if we're trying to beat down. There's some okay blue cards. So this one's unclear. If we do end up in a life gain deck, Revitalize can be fine filler to enable some of those life gain synergies, although in my experience the life gain deck doesn't come together very often. I mean, I guess we'll still take the Revitalize. Best card in the pack, unclear. Like, Salvager's okay, but we've got 0 synergy with it. This pack is kind of bad in general. Got an Artificer, which requires us to have artifacts. Doesn't really synergize with Fountain. Need an artifact creature, so Field Creepers, Thopter tokens, that kind of thing. Gearsmith Guardians. There's an Inspired Charge if we want to beat the aggro deck, although Fountain and Revitalize not the most synergistic there. Could still be the pick. Pack Beast has a bit of synergy with Fountain, but overall it's kind of low power level. So I mean, we could still easily be an aggro deck, take Inspired Charge and then start taking some aggressive creatures. Don't have to play Fountain or Revitalize if we don't want to. Artificer just doesn't come together as often as you would like. So we'll take an Inspired Charge for now, I think. Has the highest upside if it comes together. There's a Dwindle, which is decent. There's a bunch of playable green cards. There's a Marauder's Axe. So we're not getting any clear signals, but I guess we'll take a Dwindle for now. And looks like we're moving into a more controlling deck. Alright, I guess blue-white is where it's at. Do we take another Dwindle, or do we take a Cancel to kind of diversify? We've got Dwindle, double Luminous Bonds. Having too many Dwindles can be an issue. Let's say we're facing a bunch of tokens, then Dwindle and Luminous Bonds are pretty bad. Cancel can get rid of those. Enter the battlefield effects are also pretty bad if we're holding a bunch of luminous bonds and dwindles, whereas cancel can prevent those. I'm leaning towards cancel, and I think I like cancel over meandering river, although that's also a decision. Alright, now I might take the meandering river over the second cancel, and it's unlikely that we play Inspired Charge in this deck. We do still need a win condition. Either a creature that's difficult to deal with, or an enchantment-based removal spell, or a win condition, I mean. And we didn't start with one, so usually you want to start with something like a Patient Rebuilding and then build your deck around that as a win condition. We instead started out with some removal spells, and yeah, I mean, if we don't end up with one of those difficult to deal with win conditions, we're gonna have to win the game with a creature, but then if the opponent just answers or one or two relevant creatures, we're in trouble. So I don't love where this is headed. Could still take the Rustwing Falcon and kind of ditch the blue, play Inspired Charge and be a white aggro deck. But then we're not playing Fountain, not playing Revitalize. We're left with essentially 2 Luminous Bonds, Inspired Charge and Falcon, which is not a ton of playables. So we're kind of in a bad spot no matter what. Alright, Divination's not bad. And any merit to Scholar of Stars. We are in blue-white, so we might end up picking some of those random artifact generators. Otherwise there's an Invoke the Divine, which is potentially main deckable. Or a Tranquil Expanse if we want to maybe splash some green. I guess Scholar of Stars has some upside if we can pick up those artifacts. Nothing here that's too interesting. We could take an Anticipate, plays well with Cancel, could take a Dwarven Priest, gain a bit of life, extra blocker. Could take a Wall of Mist if we want a 2-mana blocker. Don't have many 2-mana blockers, although I'm not the biggest fan of Wall of Mist in general. And Anticipate for now. Totally lost. And I'll take an uncommon for the vaults. Alright, well. Meandering River, last pick is nice, but yeah, our deck desperately needs a win condition, so best card we can hope to open, probably Patient Rebuilding. Mist Scholar, not exactly the same power level there. We could take a Psychic Symbiont and try and splash black. Could take a Divination as kind of a safe pick. Not much else that we're interested in. I guess maybe Gearsmith Guardian if we want to pick up some artifact win conditions. I think the upside on Symbiont is high enough that we should try it. Alright, well, Herald of Faith is a pretty good one. Murder's also tempting, but we do have 2 Luminous Bonds, so we're pretty committed to white. Could splash the Luminous Bonds, whereas Murder's not splashable. But Herald of Faith is just a good win condition, so I don't really see a reason to pivot into black with Murder, whereas we can just take a Herald of Faith. And then we're probably wheeling the Divination if the bots stay consistent. Alright, well, Lich's Crest would have been nice too. There's a skilled Animator, but that also requires us to have some artifacts. So far the only one is Fountain of Renewal. Could maybe end up with some Aviation Pioneers to make some Thopters. Omen Speakers, also just a fine 2-drop for our deck. We're lacking 2-drop creatures to block with. Need some of those early blockers to stem the bleeding sometimes. So I don't mind Omen Speaker. Animator potentially has more upside, but we're already 3rd pick of pack 2, so we would have to pick up a decent amount of artifacts to make the Animator worth it. This is kind of the high variance pick, this is kind of the safer pick. But is of course not as powerful as Animator if it works out. But I think just a consistent 2-drop is fine here. Like, the power level of our deck is relatively high, we've got some quality removal. We've got some good win conditions, Symbiont if we can splash it. So I don't think we need to take the high variance Animator here. Alright, well that's exactly what we were looking for, a win condition that's difficult to deal with. We already have 1 Divination, can probably pick up some more. And this time we've got a lot of removal to kind of protect our life total. And then we can hope to wheel a Salvager of Secrets. Another Dwindle seems good. Already have 2 Meandering Rivers. Don't have to take those too highly. Alright, Invoke or Wall of Mist. So far we only have the one early blocker, so I wouldn't mind another one. Even though again Wall of Mist is kind of medium. Invoke is certainly main deckable between all the Luminous Bonds, Dwindles and other enchantments that are being played. I think given the lack of 2-drops I'm leaning Wall of Mist. Don't want to end up with a hand that's like all 3-mana removal spells and we're gonna struggle to keep up with the opponent's 2-drop. I already have a Totally Lost, probably not playing 2 of them, but there's nothing else here. Take another Strangling Spores, 8th pick. That's pretty late. We are planning to splash the Symbiont, could splash the Strangling Spores as well. So far we still only have the one artifact for Scholar of Stars, so it might not happen. So I think I'll take the Strangling Spores and then hopefully we can pick up some more mana fixing to make the black splash worth it. Could take a Knight of the Tusk as a blocker, could take a Gearsmith Guardian. So far we have 3 blue creatures to go with the Gearsmith Guardian, so not too many. But it is the cheaper card. I think we'll take it still. It would also be an artifact for the Scholar of Stars if we still want to make that happen. Even though the curve is awkward, being a 5-drop when we want to play Scholar on 4. Take a Field Creeper, I guess. Take a random Cinder Barons. Alright, so we'll need a bit of help in the 3rd pack. Could use some more mana fixing, could use some more divinations. Did not end up wheeling the one in this pack. Wow, well, we got pretty lucky here. Patient Rebuilding is exactly what this deck needed. And opening a rare is unlikely, but I'll happily take it here. So now we've got Patient Rebuilding and Psychic Corrosion as our win conditions, so we don't really have to worry about picking up any creatures. Alright, let's take the Rebuilding, and there's not much we can hope to wheel here. More Dwindles to add to our infinite stack of Dwindles. Norbert Foster with 3 months, thanks so much, welcome back. Yeah, double black for Lich's Caress is probably not happening. There's a reason, an argument for the Chaplain as well, just as another 2-drop to play defense with. But I'll take infinite Dwindles. Well, I mean, it's not because we have Psychic Corrosion and Patient Rebuilding that we're not allowed to play creatures. I think it's still more likely that's white's gonna be our primary color. I mean, it's not impossible that we like cut the Herald and then go blue-black splash white instead of blue-white splash black. But now with the War Leader, probably gonna stay blue-white splash black. And Divination looks good. Otherwise there's a Snapping Drake as well. Do have a bit of a hole at 4. But now with Psychic Corrosion, Divination's pretty good. Yeah, we don't even have to play black, really. Now that we have Patient Rebuilding, the power level's pretty high if we just stick to blue-white. Another Psychic Corrosion. I don't think it's really necessary. So what's the alternative here? Disperse and Revitalize, which are both actually pretty decent. So let's say we cut the black for a second. Don't need this Gearsmith Guardian, presumably. Probably not playing the Scholar. So we do need a couple more playables. We could always play like a Scholar and a Gearsmith Guardian if we have to. But we're doing okay on playables, we'll probably get there. Like, Disperse synergizes pretty nicely with Patient Rebuilding, just the fact that Patient Rebuilding draws us cards and Disperse is a 2-mana answer, and the card disadvantage doesn't really matter. Corrosion speeds up the mill, but usually when we have Patient Rebuilding or Corrosion, it's just faster to draw more cards than it is to play more Corrosions. Alright, so I'll go with chat on this one. Surge Mare's looking good. Turn to play. Could use more defensive 2-drops, and Surge Mare is quite a bit better than Wall of Mist. Otherwise there's a Snapping Drake, which could be okay too, but let's take the pony. And now we can take another cancel, which seems decent. Again, Invoke the Divine could also be okay, but double cancel gives us more interaction, which seems good. I don't think we're one with the machining, but we're probably not playing any of these other cards, so we might just take the rare for the vault. I don't think we're playing a Rustwing Falcon in this deck. Can hold off opposing 1/1 Thopter tokens and Sky Scanners, but that's about it. And do we want to play a Frilled Sea Serpent in this deck or a Gallant Cavalry? We do have a hole at 4, so I don't actually mind the Cavalry just as a way to make some blockers on the ground. Sea Serpents may be kind of the better win condition, but since we have Patient Rebuilding, double Corrosion, we shouldn't be too worried about win conditions. And I think Cavalry makes for a better defensive card. And now we can take a Chaplain, although I doubt we'll need it. Uncommon for the vaults. And this one doesn't matter. Ooh, wow, we wield the Revitalize. I think we'll happily play that over Serpents. Alright, so definitely got pretty lucky to open that Patient Rebuilding in the last pack. We even opened the vault. Alright, so we need to make a few adjustments, but we're almost there. Yeah, the Chaplain seems cuttable. Probably want the Wall of Mist over it. And then double Revitalize Anticipate seems fine. Plenty of removal, double Divination, double Corrosion, double Cancel. Some creatures to block with. One Totally Lost. Totally Lost also synergizes nicely with Corrosion and Rebuilding, since we can put it on top and then it gets milled, if we time it correctly. And then our mana base, slightly favoring blue for those cancels, seems fine. And Surge Mare is also double blue, so this seems fine. Double Meandering River for mana fixing. So yeah, this deck looks pretty good. Hopefully this one can go the distance. Yeah, the sand seems great. Turn 2 Surge Mare, turn 3 Cancel or Dwindle. If we ever find a Psychic Corrosion, we're in business. A red-white Goblin Motivator on 2. Falcon. Alright, so this is kind of the true test. Can we beat the red-white aggro deck? Alright, opponent's going all in with the Rustwing. Dwindle lines up pretty well here. Next turn we've got a War Leader, and we'll take it from there. Still gonna favor War Leader over Corrosion, since earlier we play War Leader, the more likely it is to be able to keep attacking. Alright, that didn't take much. 2, 3, 4 concede. Alright, let's open this vault. So for those asking if the vault is still a thing, there you go. Alright, so we're on the play. Turn 2 Omen Speaker, turn 3 Cancel or Dwindle seems okay. Omen Speaker can help us find us white mana for Revitalize. I guess Surge Mare could have more upside, but we're likely to keep up Cancel next turn. This is close. I think we'll Omen Speaker. Alright, so we're pretty far away from casting War Leader. Double white, we don't have a single white source, so probably have to bottom that. But I could see keeping the Cancel. Yeah, sure, why not? No play from the opponents. Get in for one, and now the question is, do we Surge Mare or do we keep up Cancel? I think we Surge Mare. Against the green deck, Surge Mare has a lot of upside. Rejuvenator's fine. Finds more green mana, so our opponent is a mono green, so do gotta watch out for the Gigantosaurus, I guess, and potential Blanchwood armors. For now, I'll just keep up Cancel, Anticipate. If we had more lands, then we could maybe pump the Surge Mare and then still have counter spells, but at 3 mana, that's not really something we can do. Basilisk. Basilisk is not the most annoying, but it does like attack pass or Omen Speaker. It's definitely bait. So I think we let that resolve for now. It's just a 2-2 at the end of the day. Since I do want to anticipate, so we can... Sure. I do want to anticipate, so we can find some lands here. 2-2 Rejuvenator doesn't bother me. Alright, probably still taking the land here, even though Divination would be nice, since we're going to be keeping up Cancel. Already have a Dwindle. Draw Divination anyway. So we'll continue to keep up Cancel. Right now we're just taking 2 damage a turn, which is acceptable. Next turn we can also maybe consider attacking with Surge Mare. Declare Dominance. I don't think we want to let that happen. Declare Dominance on a Death Touch creature is pretty effective. Take 2. Alright, we drew the land, so now we can attack with the Surge Mare, pump it, still have Omen Speaker to block Rejuvenator. Seems good. Let's see if we can find some white mana. Well, probably ditching that then. And we'll keep up Cancel. With the land next turn we can Divination, keep up Cancel. Another Basilisk. Alright, it's fine. Feels like that's bait as well. Would have loved to hit a land here. Since we didn't, I think we're committed to attacking with the Surge Mare. So we can try and find a land. We could also risk it and go for Divination anyway, hoping to draw land. But if we miss, that's pretty bad. I think I'm pumping the Surge Mare, since if we miss and go Shields down on Cancel, that can probably be a disaster. Alright, we did find a land, but Island is now not too important, but I guess we'll ditch the Revitalize. Even though 3 life is kind of nice here. And then next turn we can Divination plus play something else at 3 mana. Alright, well, we'll need to find one of our enchantments pretty soon here, since we are taking quite a beating from these Basilisk. Could of course dwindle them next turn to stem the bleeding. Alright, there's a Rebuilding. But we would have to tap out for it, so I think the play is going to be dwindle a Basilisk, keep up Cancel, and then next turn maybe dwindle the other one. Take it from there. Gotta play very patiently, as the name implies. But at 12 life, we're still doing okay. Oakenform the Rejuvenator. I think that's acceptable, since we can just dwindle the Rejuvenator next turn. And we could jump with Omen Speaker just to prevent a bit of damage. Sure. Yeah, it has trample, but we still absorb 3 damage here. So let's dwindle the Rejuvenator. We're taking 2 damage a turn, but we can also decide to trade off Surge Mare for Basilisk if we want to. And we still have Cancel Up, which is the important part here. So we'll probably take 2, and then next turn we can maybe go for the trade. We'll see. Alright. Pretty far from casting Herald of Faith. So let's see, if we Divination, we've got 4 mana left, so if we hit a land off the Divination, we can pump Surge Mare to trade and still have Cancel Up. I guess that's worth it here. Alright, there's a Plains, so we'll play that, say go. And then hopefully the enchantments can carry us to victory. Well, they did indeed have Gigantosaurus. They had a bit more white mana than I expected. So 8, 9 mana, so we can jam both enchantments. That seems okay. Or we could play Herald to start gaining some life. I think I'll slam both enchantments here. And then we'll probably draw into some more blockers. Armasaur, don't think that does anything too relevant. Lands. Did not draw any extra cards with Patient Rebuilding, sadly, but it does mean we milled 3 relevant spells. Alright. Herald blocks Armasaur. Definitely have to block, otherwise Titanic Growth kills us. Alright, still no extra cards from Patient Rebuilding. Just a land to draw. So I don't think it's great for us to attack. If they had a removal spell, they would have used it last turn, and this holds off any potential attacks. We are dead to Titanic Growth no matter what. Opponent's got 9 cards remaining. So yeah, had we milled over some lands with rebuilding, we would have been in much better shape here. Since then, not only do we mill more with Corrosion, but we also have more cards to work with. Alright, that to Titanic Growth, hopefully they don't have it. Make a stand, alright. It's still bad, but it could have been worse. Mill the Titanic Growth. Luminous Bonds to draw. And Cavalry, oof, that was a close one, since we also milled a Talons of Wildwood, so if we Luminous Bonds one of their creatures, then Talons is still lethal, but Cavalry makes sure that's not the case. So that was a close one. But we finally got to draw an extra card with Patient Rebuilding, so that's about time. So hopefully we can survive here, and then next turn they're dead. Gets back Talons. Could still be in trouble in the face of a pump spell, because this gives trample. So, alright, looks like we got there, just in time. So our patience with the cancel probably paid off, otherwise Gigantosaurus would have been beating us down. And we've got a fine keeper. Ooh, Gearsmith Prodigies. Our opponent's serious about beating down with artifacts. Surge Mare, a good blocker here. Blue-black, alright. Omen Speaker, so usually see blue-white more as an artifact deck, but blue-black could also play some artifacts, of course. One top, one bottom. Definitely not attacking, so the question is, do we play a Wall of Mist or do we keep up 3 mana? I think we keep up 3 mana, opponent might respect a cancel, and then we just get to anticipate or revitalize. Pioneer. Alright, fair enough. So, can block the Prodigy, but they're not even attacking because we could pump the Surge Mare, so keeping up mana has that advantage as well. Let's anticipate here. What about a War Leader? Seems good. They can block it, but it's gonna require them to play pretty passively, which is fine by me. If they dwindle it, it's a bit unfortunate, but then they don't dwindle the Surge Mare. Let's jam the War Leader. And then we'll see whether or not we get to attack. If we do, then opponent can triple or quadruple block. Looks like they have Disperse. Alright, I mean, it's only a temporary answer. Maybe Disperse plus Acid Scatter. Nope, Explosive Apparatus. Take 3. Still happy to replay it. So we'll see what their solution to the War Leader is. Gearsmith Guardian, we can dwindle, so that's not a concern. Alright, so if we were to attack with the War Leader, after dwindling the Guardian, opponent could triple block. We essentially get to kill Prodigy and Pioneer. I mean, it's not a terrible exchange, but it could definitely be better. If we keep the 4-4 back on defense, maybe we draw Luminous Bonds later in the game, and the War Leader can keep attacking. So for now, I think the play is just to dwindle the Gearsmith, and then pass a turn with Cancel Up. And sure, we're taking 1 a turn, but that's not too bad. Divination. I think we can let that happen. Like, sure, we could cancel it, but presumably there's just a handful of key cards we really want to cancel. Alright, Divination's good. Next turn we can play the Wall of Mist and still have Cancel Up. Opponent might think that we don't have a cancel since we ended up casting Revitalize last turn, so they might jam whatever bomb they have. Could be playing like a Nicol Bolas for all we know. That seems counter-worthy. And the lands are not exactly what we were hoping for. So what happens if we attack with both? Yeah, the Surge Mare could connect and then we can discard one of these lands. So I think we send. I guess they can just block with the Gearsmith Guardian on the Surge Mare so we don't get to draw a card, but then we get rid of it. And then the question is, how much do we want to pump Surge Mare? Once or twice? Alright, change of plan. They're gonna let the War Leader live. It works for me. Just take 4 and then eat everything else. Makes sense too. So we don't get to loot with the Surge Mare. We just gain 2 and deal 4. That's another way to do it. This is pretty bad if we had an Inspire charge, but I guess they're not playing around that. Alright. Mirror Image, copying Gearsmith Guardian, explains why they didn't want to block with it. Fair enough. So now they've got a blocker for the War Leader. Would love to draw Patient Rebuilding, Divination, Psychic Corrosion, a removal spell for the Mirror Image. So Dwindle is one of those, but now they have Apparatus up, so they could block with the Prodigy and then finish off the War Leader. We're just taking one a turn at the end of the day, so it's not like we're under a ton of pressure. Attacking with just a Surge Mare doesn't really accomplish a whole lot since they just block with Omen Speaker. Do want to keep one land in hand to maybe loot away with the Surge Mare. I think we'll sit back for now. And then hope to draw into one of our enchantments soon. So we'll take one. Oof, Meteor Golem. Is that gonna go after the War Leader or maybe a Dwindle? Goes after the War Leader. Alright, fair enough. Luminous Bonds. Do we even have to cast this Luminous Bonds? I don't think we do. Although I guess with the Explosive Apparatus, our opponent will eventually start attacking with everyone. I think we'll just chill. See what they do. They might play a bigger flyer. We need to Luminous Bonds instead. We can block the Meteor Golem with a Wall of Mist. If they want Apparatus to kill it, that's fine. Surge Mare can eat Prodigy and Pioneer if those attack. If they want to finish off Surge Mare with Apparatus, that's fine. So we'll see what happens. Alright. So we could trade Surge Mare for Meteor Golem, but the Surge Mare is holding off all these small ball creatures. So I think we just block here, and then if they want Apparatus, that's fine by me. Alright, so we could decide to Luminous Bonds a Meteor Golem if we want to. Don't have to do that. Would like to draw some action. Definitely drew a fair share of lands. So let's see, I've got 11 lands. So we've got 6 lands remaining in 19. And the other 13 cards include more removal spells, double Psychic Corrosion, Patient Rebuilding, Angel, some other good cards. Another Divination, another Vitalize, quite a few cards that cycle themselves. Yeah, I think we say go for one more turn and then I'll maybe Luminous Bonds the Meteor Golem. Mirror Image, ow. Double Mirror Image, copying Meteor Golem, killing Surge Mare, that's painful. Or they could kill the Dwindle. Probably just killing Surge Mare. Well, that's a second Meteor Golem, pretty good card. Wish we had a cancel. No Cellular Wreckage in this format. So we're pretty dead now. Surge Mare was holding off at least for damage, another land. Is there a reason to Luminous Bonds the actual Meteor Golem or the Mirror Image? Can't really think of a great reason. Well, not much we can do when we draw all the lands. And there's Nicol Bolas. So that's the red splash, like we suspected. Well, opponent had a good deck. And we should be dead here. Not sure what our opponent's considering. Got no cards in hand. Alright, GG's. And the double Meteor Golem would have been pretty good against our enchantments as well, so even had we resolved Patient Rebuilding or Psychic Corrosion, they would have been able to answer both of them. So it was going to be a difficult game to win, even if we didn't flood out. This hand seems pretty decent. 2 removal spells at 3, and then 2 bombs at 4 and 5. Yeah, our best answer was probably just milling those Meteor Golems and Mirror Images, so we didn't have to deal with them. Interesting decision coming up here. Well, I guess it's less interesting now. Just keep any untapped lands on top, I'll keep both of those. And then we'll see, just an easy trade, alright. Gutter Snipe. Gutter Snipe is annoying, but got a War Leader coming up next turn. So we want to keep up Cancel, or do we want to be able to curve War Leader into Patient Rebuilding? We're pretty likely to cast either Luminous Bonds or Dwindle after playing War Leader to kind of clear a path for an attack. So I think we're okay to keep up Cancel. And using Dwindle or Luminous Bonds on Gutter Snipe is not a great solution. Seems like an okay cancel target. Alright, I hope they don't have their own Luminous Bonds. And then if they try and stay back on defense, we've got the removal spells. If they do have a Luminous Bonds, then our curve is kind of messed up, but alright, looks like War Leader on turn 4 is good enough. I'll take it. Alright, another potential turn 4 War Leader, so gotta keep. Also have Corrosion plus Divination to play well with each other. Fountain to kind of pad our life total. Seems good. Hopefully no double 1-drop here. Hey, thanks for the 6 months there, Tristan Hart, welcome back. Thank you so much for the continued support. And enjoy your new shiny badge. Doom the center. Alright, it's manageable. We did draw the land. If we didn't draw the land, it would be tempting to Divination just to make sure we can play War Leader on time. Now I think we can afford to Psychic Corrosion. And Resonator with the 3 months as well, thank you so much. Welcome back and appreciate the continued support there as well. Gonna get hit for 3. And we'll see whether or not they've got an answer to the War Leader. Pretty likely, given that they didn't play much before. But that's okay. Still not under a ton of pressure. The Fountain's doing a good job of getting us some life back. And if by some miracle they don't have a removal spell, then we're in business. Yep, there's a Luminous Bonds. So a land would be nice, since then we could go Corrosion plus Revitalize. Could also totally lost the Luminous Bonds and then mill it with the Psychic Corrosion, so there's some interesting things we can do. Alright, we did draw the lands. Yeah, if we want to go for the totally lost play, if we do it now, then our opponent just redraws the Luminous Bonds. If we do it end of turn, or after they draw, then we can ambush with a War Leader, and then we mill the totally lost with the Psychic Corrosion. So, that's a potential play we have. Alternatively, we can just Psychic Corrosion, Revitalize, mill the opponent for a bunch, and then gain more life, and then Divination next turn. So there's two different approaches here. I think I'm gonna get fancy with the Totally Lost play, but it might not be the best play we have here. That's gonna hurt. But we will be able to ambush the Vanguard here. So we'll Totally Lost the Luminous Bonds. And then block. And the Luminous Bonds gets milled. Alright, so now what do we want to do? Can definitely attack with the War Leader. We could Luminous Bonds the Epicure, so they don't block the War Leader, that seems okay. And then we can still Revitalize. They do still get to keep Epicure with Neonate in play, which is kind of annoying, but if we've got a War Leader beating down, we're also gaining quite a bit of life. And I guess we should probably Revitalize now, in case we draw land. Although it doesn't matter too much. I think I'll wait. I'm gonna keep the Dissenter back. Just Revitalize now. Could wait to get the other Corrosion down first, don't think that's necessary. Alright, I guess Meandering River was definitely a reason to main phase Revitalize. Kind of get punished here if we don't draw a basic. Yeah, forgot about the Meandering Rivers for a second. Let's attack. And we're in the enviable position of winning both with mill and with damage. Alright. Opponent's got 18 cards remaining. And it looks like they found another Luminous Bonds. That's okay. We've got the backup plan. Ton of card draw coming up here. Can always sack the Fountain to draw a card as well. Opponent had a lot of Epicures apparently. I think we might just mill them out right now. A lot of discard in there too. Opponent says oops. Yeah, well, they'll still have one card remaining, so we won't actually win the game here, but close enough. So they get to live for one more turn. Don't think there's any cards that shuffle cards from the graveyard back into your deck. Vanguard. Well, all those Epicures. Double Leonin Vanguard, so our opponent had a pretty synergistic deck here. Also some jank. A Janice welcome. Some Duras' main deck. Alright, let's see here. Sacking Fountain costs 3 mana, so didn't have enough mana to do both Revitalize and Fountain. Alright, not a great hand. Single Plains makes his hand pretty okay. If we don't draw Plains, we don't cast Revitalize, so we might be stuck on 2 lands for a while. We've got a Wall of Mist to cast in the meantime. Any third land gives us cancel, even an island, and dwindle. So I think it's a keep, but it's definitely a hand that could fail to draw white mana in time and kind of fall behind on mana. Neonates, not what we want to see when we have a Wall of Mist, since that doesn't really line up all that well. Omen Speaker, reasonable draw, can help us find the white mana we're looking for. So if we keep both, we get to curve Wall of Mist into Cavalry, but against a Vampire Neonate, Cavalry doesn't line up all that well. We already have Wall of Mist and Omen Speaker as blockers, so the 2/2s don't really do much for us. So I don't think we're in a hurry to cast the Cavalry, but I think I will keep the white mana. And this way we get access to white mana for Revitalize, instead of keeping up cancel next turn, which is a decision we're making here. Chaplain is fine. Just want to dig for one of our enchantments basically to win the game, since damage is unlikely to happen against the start. Not sure if it matters here. Another Chaplain. And there we go, Psychic Corrosion, so opponent doesn't really have any pressure in play. Corrosion's slowly gonna start milling them, so as long as we dodge any big flyers, we should be okay. They can activate the Neonate to drain us for 1, that's fine. And we're gonna keep up cancel, Revitalize. If we don't need to cancel, we'll Revitalize. No need to dwindle anything. The Corrosion's definitely gonna outrace the Neonates. Epicure we probably don't wanna let resolve. So, do we kill the Dissenter? I guess that's fine. Alright. So, still no real reason to dwindle, just play River, Revitalize. Could draw into a Fountain, so that's a reason to main phase Revitalize, but they might respect the counterspell if we keep up 3 mana. So I think we'll play it like this. Knightly Valor. Alright, that's fine. They're just gonna go wide here. Mill some lands. And take 1. And now Cavalry provides quite a few blockers. Still play the Cavalry first, I think. And a 5th land gives us Divination plus Revitalize. Could also dwindle the Chaplain, but that doesn't seem necessary right now. So we're in a pretty good position. Plenty of card draw to fuel the Corrosion. Luminous Bonds doesn't really do much. So we can trade off the Knights. Seems okay. And they can gain all the life they want here. It's not gonna matter much. We do still have a cancel on the deck, so I think I'll main phase the Revitalize on the off chance we draw cancel, and then we might want to keep up cancel instead of casting Divination. Could also draw into another Corrosion that we want to play before casting Divination. Alright, that's a good one. The funny thing about playing Psychic Corrosion Mill is that you get to see a lot of the opponent's decks. So, it gives you a glimpse into the mind of your opponents. Alright, murder the Wall of Mists. So we're gonna take a small hit here. Nothing too scary. Probably gonna have to dwindle next turn before playing Patient Rebuilding. Alright, that's a good one. Opponent going pretty wide. If they top deck something like an Inspired Charge, we could be in trouble. But Omen Speaker does block the 1/1s. Second Lena, wow. So, could dwindle twice to get rid of Lena as well. I think that's reasonable. Just dwindle both of those. And then Omen Speaker can either start killing the 1/1s or block the 2/2. Just want to prevent damage. Let's see, I guess I've got 7 cards remaining. So we might actually just win faster by playing the Patient Rebuilding. So let's see. Next turn this mills them for 3, we mill them for at least 2. 5. So I guess if we play the Patient Rebuilding, play Fountain, we can chum block with Omen Speaker if we want to. I don't know, feels like either way we're probably fine. Like, even if they top deck Inspired Charge, we might not be dead. But this plays around the top deck the most. And then probably just blocking the zombie instead of the 1/1. Blocking the 1/1 means that next turn we take 1 fewer. Point of damage from the soldier. Blocking the zombie means we prevent 1 more damage now. I guess, I mean, they can also sack Lena to protect the soldier token. So I guess we'll block the zombie. And a millstone. I think we're the ones doing the milling here. 4. So yeah, what we could have done last turn is play Patient Rebuilding and Fountain. And then by sacking the Fountain now, we guaranteed would have milled the opponent out. But this played around the top deck Inspired Charge a little bit better, I guess. Alright. So we could play Fountain, sack, and if we draw Divination we win. But we already cast a Divination, so that's not too likely. So let's just play Fountain and pass, and then hope to dodge the top deck. It's pretty much Inspired Charge or bust. Opponent mills another Psychic Corrosion. Should be pretty safe from getting milled ourselves. Alright, let's see if they drew it. Looks like we're safe. Doom Dissenter is not gonna do it. Sweet. I mean, it was pretty close. Lena was definitely a good draw there, but we had just enough mill to keep up. If we were at 2 life, then our opponent could activate Neonates, untap and under upkeep before taking a draw step, kill us with a Neonate, as long as they remember to put a stop on their upkeep. But we were at 8, so still pretty safe. Alright, what about this one? It's okay. Revitalize to cycle 2 removal spells. It needs a Psychic Corrosion or Patient Rebuilding at some point. Divination's not bad. And we don't have to discard 2 hand size since we're on the play. A nice Psychic Corrosion just in time. So game plan acquired. Plenty of removal to keep the opponent from hitting us. Alright, so probably want to play Totally Lost here. And then next turn we can double 3-drop, which is more mana efficient. We'll wait to see if the opponent maybe enchants or equips the Archer somehow. Could also take 3 and then Totally Lost if they maybe play a 5-drop. Epicure. Yeah, Epicure would have been maybe a better target, but we saved ourselves 3 damage. So let us probably just Dwindle and then Divination. I guess we'll Divination first. Wall of Mist. Think I'm still leaning Dwindle here. Could also Wall of Mist plus Fountain. And if they spend a turn killing the Wall of Mist, that's fine by me. I guess it's reasonable to start getting a life a bit faster. Alright, and that'll do it. Well, if the Psychic Corrosion deck comes together, can be pretty strong. And our hand looks totally fine. Corrosion into some interaction, or we could interact first. We are on the draw, so a fast start could potentially hurt us. But there's no way we can mulligan this. Alright, can we dodge a 2-drop here? We can, great. Black-white, Swiftclaw, alright. If we face that on turn 2, it could have been pretty scary. Alright, so to Corrosion or to Dwindle. So if we Corrosion, we start the milling a bit faster. Probably gonna Dwindle next turn instead of Divination. If we Dwindle now, we prevent 3 damage. If our opponent has something like a Blood Divination, they get to spend 4 mana pretty efficiently, sacking the Swiftclaw. They didn't have a turn 3 play since they played Swiftclaw, or their Swiftclaw is better than any turn 3 play they had. This one's close. I guess I'll go with the Corrosion. Like, let's say our opponent does have main deck Invoke the Divine, then playing Dwindle first might save the Corrosion from being destroyed. Double Swiftclaw. Alright. Let's Dwindle. Still gonna end up taking 3 here. Had we Dwindled first, then we would not have taken any damage. Stag, alright. Double Stag, double Swiftclaw. Opponent definitely has a pretty focused aggro deck here. Probably gonna Luminous Bonds the Stag in case we at some point find a blocker we don't want the Stag to attack. Alright, so we are milling the opponent with Corrosion, but the decision not to Dwindle on 3 cost us 9 life so far. Rustwing Falcon's manageable. Another Stag milled, so their opponent's got a pretty nice aggro deck here. Just gonna keep Dwindling. Could also Totally Lost, I guess, and undo their draw step. Don't hate that idea. Totally Lost has some advantages as well. I guess we'll go for the Totally Lost. Question is, do we Totally Lost main phase or wait until they draw? I guess we'll wait. So we milled the Swiftclaw. Since Swiftclaw is a pretty decent play, it's a cheap 3-power threat. Alright, opponent doesn't add anything to the board, it's promising. And now we get to Divination and probably keep up Cancel. Let's tap our mana a bit better, I guess. Herald's also decent. Opponent's got infinite Swift Claws over there. Yeah, I think we'll keep up Cancel. No need to get rid of the Falcon quite yet. Well, Swiftclaw is good if you can back it up with Starcrown Stag. Macabre Walls, let's counter that. Double Stag would be a bit much. Down to 9. Pretty likely that the Herald gets answered by removal spell, considering they've been holding those 2 cards for a while. But I think it's probably still the play. Using Dwindle or Luminous Bonds on Falcon doesn't seem great. Could keep land in hand to play around discard. I think that's reasonable. I doubt they have a Mind Rod in there. We get punished for keeping land in hand if we like string together some card draw spells and need the extra mana. But I think I'll play it safe here. There's a Luminous Bonds, as we suspected. Wall of Mist doesn't do a whole lot of blocking. There we see Inspired Charge, which could have been scary if they had more creatures in play. Do we get rid of this Falcon? Opponent's down to 11 cards. Given that we have 3 removal spells, I guess it's worth it here. And just ride the Corrosion to victory. And that'll do it, sweet. So, got the 7 wins, lost 1 game where we flooded out a little bit. Sweet. Open the Graves, pretty good rare. Infernal Reckoning, not so much. What would we take? Pack one, pick one. Pretty interesting decision. Could go for the Druid if you're feeling some auras. Could go with Mirror Image as a solid card. Take Vengeance, good removal. Alright, that's gonna do it for this draft. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And as always, have a nice day. I also want to thank all my patrons for being part of the channel, and you can become a patron yourself today and decide the topic of future videos over at patreon.com/LegenVD.